ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Backstage with Fred Cooper. I am so happy today because I have one of the all-time greats here, and I want to introduce to you Mr. Tex Beneke. Tex.
Thank you, Fred.
Good to have you here.
Thank you, sir.
I really appreciate you being here.
Oh, this is, I believe, our second time out here, I think.
That's the third time.
Was this the third time?
Yeah, I've had you 3 times, but it's just...
I missed one someplace. It's always nice to play here, though. The audiences are great, you know.
They like your music. That's why they don't. Yeah. I can't imagine being here when the new music comes on. Well, the generation after me, that's going to be bad. Maybe it'll be good for them, you know.
I don't know. Frankly, I don't care too much about what is going on right now in the business.
Let's talk about the business. Let's talk about Fort Worth, Texas.
I get lost every time I go home now.
Well, now you do. Yeah. You've grown up.
It really
It's been a year or two.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
Yeah.
I finished high school there in 32 and went on the road almost immediately after that till I joined Miller in 38.
But now, before that, you played in high school with another band, didn't you? Was that a local band?
A high school band. There was
that was a high school band.
There was a high school band, and a lot. Well, we always we had combos, you know. It played all over town for different clubs and things like that. Sure, I played all over the area for several years before I hit the road.
You know, I was amazed to read that Krupa had heard you. He was the one that introduced or recommended me to Miller. Yeah. He flew out to Detroit. I was in Detroit with the band at that time, out of Texas, out of the University of Texas, in fact. Named Ben Young's orchestra, and he had just left the Goodman Band and was looking for new fresh talent for his own band, his own first band. And of course, he and Miller had been friends for years in the studios, you know, in New York. So he took two of the boys out of the Ben Young band that I was with at that time, and he didn't take me, and you know how that made me feel. Not to be hired by the great Krupa. Yeah. But then I found out a little later on that his sax section was all filled. He didn't need another tenor sax, tenor man, you know. That's how that came about. That was in 38?
In 37.
37.
In 37, yeah.
So you drove from where? Were you in Chicago at the time, did you say?
No, I was in Detroit.
You were in Detroit.
When he came there. And the band that I was with out of Texas, we had been there for a couple of months on this one ballroom job. And it was shortly before our job played out there that Krupa came out to hear the band. And then it turned out Glenn called me one night after the job, and he said, "Is this Tex or is this Gordon?" And I said, "Yes." He said, "My name is Glenn Miller, and I'm starting a band in New York, and Gene Krupa recommends you pretty highly, so I'd like very much to have you consider coming with me."
And had Miller made a great name at this? Did you know Glenn Miller? When he said,
never knew who he was. No.
You didn't know who he was.
He was only known in the studios
I see.
for the studio work that he had done all those years. But he had one band before the band that made it, but he never got any publicity or anything on that. It just fell flat until his second band, which was the one that began in April 38. And that lasted until October 42. And that's when he had to disband because of the draft and everything, and he was going into the service. He wanted to take the whole band in as a unit, and we all would have gone with him because we knew we were going to be drafted anyway. And but it's a funny thing that there wasn't any branch of the service would take an organized band at that time.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, you lost out.
And then only 3 or 4 months later, they relinquished all of these regulations to where he could bring in a full band, but it was too late because his band had broken up at that time.
Sure.
That was
the first band to go in was Clyde McCoy in the Navy.
Is that right?
Yeah, that was when they killed some of those regulations about bringing in intact bands.
They didn't have to rehearse, did they?
No, they didn't.
Or audition or anything else. Now, in 37, when Glenn Miller called you, you drove from Detroit to New York.
Yeah. To join the band.
In snow. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's correct. Oh, it was a cold, lonely trip.
Was it? You were alone?
I was alone. Yeah.
And
To Canada. That was the shortest route to go from there, from Detroit.
Did you ever think that this would ever get as big as it did? Even after the band started, you know, and before
You mean his band?
Yes, before it really made it, when it was getting put together, did you ever think, boy, this is going to go?
The way we were received around New England states and all the one-nighters that we were playing up through there, before he became a big name, we all had a good, deep feeling about it, because the audiences, they were just gung-ho. They were crazy over the Miller Band.
Yeah. So you drove from Detroit to New York to meet this Glenn Miller that you had never heard of. And play.
Yeah.
And I also saw that you got $2.50 extra a week. Now that's $2.50, not $250, isn't that right?
Well, when I first got the call from Glenn, when I was still in Detroit, I asked him what the job was going to pay, you know, and he says, everybody's getting a flat $50 a week. It's, all guys will be on the same salary. Well, that wasn't too bad a salary in those days. That was pretty darn good. And why I came up with saying, well, I'll tell you, Glenn, what I'll do. I'll come with the band for $52.50 a week. I guess I just wanted to be the highest paid guy in the band, you know. And he called me a dirty name after a few seconds of silence and says, all right, I'll give it to you. But you're damn sure going to have to prove it to me that you're worth it.
Now you got closer to him probably than most of the guys, didn't you?
Well, we were always quite close, because I never gave him any problems, any troubles of any kind. Whatever he wanted me to do, I'd play it for him right, or like he wanted it, or whatever he wanted, I'd try to do it to please him. And so many guys, musicians, think they know it all, you know, and
want to do it their way.
Yeah, wanted to do it their way. That didn't happen like that very many times in the Miller Band until they were
gone,
until they were fired. Yeah.
Was he a hard man?
No.
Just do it my way and that's it.
He was hard so far as precision was concerned. In his rehearsals and things, of getting it absolutely letter perfect on everything. The movements had to be perfect. The saxes, when they all stood, they had to stand as one. Nobody could sit in their chairs with their leg crossed over, one leg crossed over the other, anything like that. They had to have both feet on the floor. They had to have their handkerchiefs in their coat pockets, all exactly the same haircuts. Everything had to be real strict uniform.
And all the same money except one.
And all this. Well, it didn't take long for the rest of the guys to find out I was making 2.5 more than they were. Then my life wasn't quite so easy for a while.
Let's talk a little bit about Miller the man. Now, you ever see Mrs. Miller?
She's dead.
Oh, is she?
Long time.
Oh, I thought
Many
she was
years.
still alive.
No.
Who has the rights to the Miller Band?
The Miller estate, Miller's adopted children,
I see.
and
Didn't
a
he have
couple of lawyers, a couple of attorneys, I think.
Oh, okay. That'll tie anything up, won't it?
Yeah. Because there is a band known as the Glenn Miller Orchestra.
They play.
The
What do
new
they
Glenn
play?
Miller Orchestra. They play all over the country, all over the world.
Oh, do they?
Japan, every place.
Oh, they do.
They're traveling all the time. But it's owned by the Miller estate.
See, I've only known you. So I haven't even heard of this other group. But
Larry O'Brien is his name, and the new Glenn Miller Orchestra.
don't know him. Don't know him.
And there's another new Glenn Miller band in England now.
Oh, there is.
Yeah. They're springing up every place.
Do you ever get together? Did you know Beryl Davis much?
Burl?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know Burl quite well.
Did you two ever work together? We've had her here many times.
Excuse me. My throat's killing me.
Well, we'll cut this short.
Yes, I know Burl. I've known her for many years, in fact, and she's a great singer.
Yes.
Wonderful singer.
Yeah, we've.
I see her quite often when I'm around Palm Springs, you know. She works around there a lot.
Right. She does. That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
They live down there, in fact, part of the time. Anyway.
Yeah.
You ever work with her?
No, she has been on just to sing a couple of solos with my band in different areas where we might be playing, then she would be there, you know, and get her to come out and sing.
Now, you were not a singer when you started. You just played sax,
I played
isn't that
sax
correct?
strictly. I had done some vocal work with the other band that I had been with before Miller, but
Tell the audience how it came about that you became the Glenn Miller singer at the time.
well, it was there was a fellow named Jerry Jerome, tenor sax player, whose book I took over, because he was with the first Miller band that didn't make it, and he had done some singing. Well, as we were rehearsing, we started with that first library, of course, and when we'd get to those vocals, I'd say, Glenn, look, I'm a saxophone player. I'm not a singer. Well, give it a try. Go on, Tex, give it a try. And, so I tried, and he said, well, maybe we can straighten you out on a few things and see what happens. And then, of course, later, when the Modernaires came along, I had to do some singing with them, too.
1941, you made your first record, is that right? Or
No, we made some before 41.
First what record?
I don't know.
First gold record.
I don't.
That was the first
Well,
gold record in the
That
nation.
was made in 41, I think.
That was made in 41.
Chattanooga Choo Choo record.
First gold record.
Yeah.
That is
was
amazing.
the first one that ever
now
come out.
everybody has a gold record.
Oh, yeah.
To say,
They sell 1 million times more than Glenn's ever sold with his. His was 1,200,000 or something like that.
Yeah,
This was his. That was a big sales
you
in
bet it
those
was.
days.
And to think you had the first one.
Yeah.
Now, I heard the other day that the Modernaires are doing a new CD, and you have a couple of numbers with them on that. Is that
Well,
right?
I'm supposed to do with them, they want to redo the Chattanooga and Gal in Kalamazoo. So, if I can learn the words, if I can remember.
Hey, you sounded good when I saw you in Palm Springs and the Modernaires were down there. That was super.
Yeah.
Now, Paula Kelly Jr. is Paula's, of course, daughter.
Yeah.
I found her. Now, I knew her mother, and obviously you knew her mother. The Paula Kelly Jr. seems a little more reserved, or she's not as outgoing as mother was.
No, she isn't, and she doesn't have the strength of voice that her mom had either.
Yeah.
She doesn't have enough push, really, to be the lead singer. So they have another girl with them now too, you know.
Yes.
And I imagine I haven't heard of her in a long time, but I imagine the other girl is taking some of the vocal lead work.
Right. That's they sounded great. When I heard you.
Well, did they have both the girls with them at that time?
Yes, they
Paula
did.
and Judy.
Judy used to sing with you, though, didn't she?
For a long time.
I think she was here maybe the first time, or possibly
I
even
don't
second.
know who sang with me the first time I was here.
But maybe I'm wrong too. I have been wrong.
Yeah. Well, Judy was with me quite a while, but I don't know whether she was ever with me out here.
I knew her from out here. Good-looking woman. I always remember.
She was at Disneyland for a long time.
Oh, was she?
Worked in some horseshoe show or something.
Oh, the Golden Horseshoe.
Golden, I think that was the one.
Yes. Okay. Now, when the service came along for you, you didn't go in the Air Corps. Weren't you in the Navy?
Yeah.
And where'd you fight the war?
Dry land sailor. Norman, Oklahoma.
That's where the
They had-
university there?
They had the universities there, yeah.
OU.
But everybody thinks it was so strange being in the Navy and going to Oklahoma, you know, for the duration.
Isn't it strange it's going to Oklahoma?
But we didn't need any water down there. That wasn't. These were technical jobs that they were training for. The motor mechanics for the guys to take care of wrecked aircraft. You know, metalsmithing, signaling, and many things that they had to learn there before they were ever shipped out.
Right, right.
So I wound up as a chief petty officer in charge of entertainment division there.
Sounds like a cush job to me.
And a couple of nights a week, we had shows and dances for the kids and the sailors and Marines.
So after the war, of course, Glenn was gone. You got together a band again. Did you do this right away? Right after you got out, did you start thinking about this?
Well, I got out in 45, around November, I guess, of 45, and January 46 is when I took over the remains of the Miller Air Force Band when they came back.
So they all came back and they got in touch with you?
You see, Helen Miller gave me the permission to take over because Glenn was going to give me a band anyway before he had backed so many other musicians. Charlie Spivak, Claude Thornhill, Hal McIntyre, his lead alto man. Glenn had put money in all these bands and got them started and wanted to do the same for me. But I said, Glenn, I'm sorry, I don't think I'm ready yet. Wait till you come back from the service and go with you some more and learn a little more about becoming a leader. Then maybe I'll think about it.
Yeah.
So his wife knew of those plans. And
You know, you guys started 1938 roughly to get going, and he was gone in 44?
45.
45.
I think it was December 45.
December 45.
Or 44. It was
44.
I think you're right. I think it's 44.
You know, for such a short time, his music, well, I'll just tell you, I went to buy a CD, because we play music here before for the audience, you know, just background music. I went to buy a CD at Target, and it was the Glenn Miller thing. I went the first day, they were out, and a young girl was there, and she said, I can't believe so many people came in and asked for this. I said, if you haven't listened to this kind of music, kid, you don't know what you're missing.
Yeah.
And they don't. And you know what really amazes me about the big band music is when the big bands play at Disneyland. My daughter works at Disneyland, and she said they've got some of the biggest audiences. These young people.
Yeah, well, we played it.
They don't know about it though.
We played it for years out there. Now they've cut that out. You see, they're not they're not bringing in any big bands, any name bands anymore.
No, I didn't know that.
No, and the people that came there for us were our regulars.
Yeah.
They used to pack the place,
Sure,
you know.
sure.
And those people, they've given up their seasonal buying their seasonal tickets because they only bought them to come in and dance to the name bands.
Yeah.
They're all mad, really mad about the thing because there's really no place they can go to dance anymore.
I know there are no more big
big ballrooms around that are
Well, you may
operating.
see a few dancing here in the aisles tonight.
I hope they do. I hope they do.
Listen, we're getting a wind up from your group. I think they want to rehearse with the young lady. But anyway, what you got anything on the burner besides this Modernaire thing?
No, not really. I'm just.
Got a book out?
Oh Lord, no.
Oh, I know what it was. You were not known as Tex until you went to the Miller.
He's the one that nicknamed me Tex.
That's right.
Because I was from Texas,
Yeah.
of course.
Yeah. Isn't that something?
Yeah.
And you're still playing the great music and still singing the great songs.
Still trying,
Hey, you're doing good.
but like I'm fighting the gravel in the throat right now.
Well,
you know?
sure. Yeah. Well, that's one of those things that I'm sure we're all going to know.
Gravel's getting worse all the time.
They're getting louder. That must
Yeah, I
mean
don't know.
you're on next. So.
I don't know.
Well,
Just kidding.
I appreciate you being here with us, and I know that there are a jillion things I would like to pick your brain on because there's so many things that are not written. Let me ask you one more thing before I go. How close is the Glenn Miller story to the real thing? Is it fairly close?
Oh, some of it was close, but they doctored the thing up tremendously.
Hollywood stuff.
To make it a better story.
Right. Right.
No, there's a lot of things. Like Helen Miller's favorite song was supposed to have been The Little Brown Jug.
In the movie, yes.
She couldn't have cared less what Glenn played. She didn't care. She didn't know from nothing what he played. She never came to the jobs or anything.
Oh, she didn't?
No.
Had no interest?
She just waited for him to bring the money home, that's all. So they had to change that part.
Isn't that what all wives do?
Well, most of them, I guess.
Hey, it's been a real pleasure
Oh, it's
talking
my
to you
pleasure,
again.
Fred.
I tell you. And then maybe I'll see you again soon.
I hope so.
Okay? You're looking great, you're sounding great, and I just keep up the good humor because...
Well, I'm doing the best I can know how. At this late date, just lucky to still be here, you know.
Are you known as a senior citizen yet?
Well, senior. I'm a senior.
Yeah. It's really been a great pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much.
Fine, I hope it works out.
I wish that you people could be here tonight. Those of you who are not here, the next time we have Mr. Tex Beneke, please come and hear him. Thank you and good night.
Goodbye, everybody.